greeting text, which describes what your bot does. One point that warrants messaging: the relationship between pages and apps is one-to-many in both directions. So you can have one app that powers a number of bots across a variety of different pages, or you can have one page that's connected by a number of different apps. For example, you might have one app you built in-house for an automated experience, and you might use a third-party app for, say, live chat customer support. So how do you create this token? So you go to the dev site, you go to the Messenger portion, scroll down to the token generation section, and in the drop-down, you select a page. And that's it. As soon as you select a page, the field on the right will auto-populate with a non-expiring page access token. And that token will remain active as long as the person who created it remains an admin on your app. Excuse me, an admin on your page. So first step, create the page access token. The second step is setting up your webhooks. Again, webhooks is a concept that's existed elsewhere on Facebook platforms. This might be a concept that you're already familiar with. Webhooks are what we use to receive all the messages that come into your bot on the Messenger platform. So you can receive any messages and a number of other events I'll talk about in a second that come in. When these events come in, you get three different things. You get an identifier for the person that sent it, you get the type of event that it is, and you also get the payload of that event that's sent through. So some examples of some events that you can receive in your webhooks. The first one, a message, right? This is sort of the basic currency of a messaging platform. You can get messages on your webhooks. What's the weather in San Francisco? When this comes through, you get the identity again of the person, you get that it's a message, and you get the contents of the message itself. Plugins. So with loading the Facebook JavaScript SDK on your site with a single line of HTML, you can create this Send to Messenger plugin, which Linda spoke about earlier as well. And you can use this on any website to be able to direct people into your Messenger experience. What happens is when a person clicks on this plugin, an event is sent to your webhook, a messaging opt-in event that contains the identity of the person and also an optional data ref parameter where you can pass in some context of what the person was doing when they clicked on that. Are they logged into your site? What site have they clicked on? These are things you can pass back through that parameter. As a result of that, you can then send an automated message from your bot that's context-aware to that person. Third one, messaging postbacks. Linda described some of the rich text formats you're able to send in messages through this platform. One of the options is you can have up to 3 buttons. And these buttons can do 2 things. One, they can just open a URL, plain and simple. The second is they can send one of these messaging postback events to your webhook. So for example, if you have a travel bot, you might have 3 buttons that say book a flight, book a hotel room, book a rental car, if that's still a thing. I think that's still a thing. And what happens is when somebody taps on that, a specific message postback will be sent to your webhook. You can use that to then continue the automated experience based on whatever it is that they pressed. Wrapping up the final 2 here, message deliveries. When you send a message out to someone, you'll get a message delivery event when the message has been delivered to their device. And message reads, same concept. When someone has actually read a message that you've sent out, you can get a message read event back. So first, create your page access token. Second, set up your webhooks. The third and final stage to setting up your bot on Messenger is enabling the sending of outbound messages. And we've created a single API endpoint for all messages that you send out to people through the Messenger platform. And again, when a person messages your bot, you'll receive a unique identifier for that person. That identifier is page scoped, so it's a page scoped ID that will not expire. And you can use that ID to then send messages out to people. This is the slide that Linda showed earlier, but I want to revisit this for a second. These are some of the various types of messages that you can send out to people. So again, media, right? Basic currency of a messaging platform, you can send text. Not super surprising, you can send a message to people. But you can also send these rich format types of things, images, GIFs, videos. In addition, you can send attachments. So any sort of attachment. Say you're a hotel and somebody just stayed with you, you want to send a PDF, you can do that right in the Messenger bot. And a new thing that we announced a couple weeks ago with the latest platform update is what we call attachment reuse. This is a really great concept if you intend to send a lot of videos or other sorts of things that are maybe a little bit larger. Instead of sending that every single time you send a message, you can upload it once, get an ID for that, and then you can just send whatever it is by sending that ID going forward. Second category here are these rich format messages, these structured messages. The first one allows for combination of image, title, text, buttons, and the second one here is a receipt. Right? So if someone buys something on your website or if they buy something in your bot, you can send a nicely formatted messenger-friendly receipt into the thread. And then finally, again, the carousel. You can send up to 10 of these items in a horizontal scrolling list. A quick note on policy. So the policy for Messenger platform is the link here. At a high level, there are 2 different permissions that you can request as you build out your bot on Messenger. And when you complete the development process, what will happen is you will submit your bot for review. And all bots that are approved to be on the Messenger platform by default have this first policy, which is the standard messaging. Standard messaging enables what we call the 24+1 policy. Essentially, you have 24 hours to send any message that you want to the people that are subscribed to your bot on Messenger. That means if somebody taps a plugin and you get that event on your webhook, or if somebody sends you a message and you get that event on your webhook, you have 24 hours to send anything. Now these can be utility messages, right? Somebody bought something, here's a receipt, or here's order updates. It can be sort of a procedural message to continue the automation. You're going back and forth on booking a flight to somewhere. Every time they send that message, you can keep sending messages. Or it can be promotional. You can, within that 24-hour window, send any promotional things you want. You can send ads, you can send discounts. You want to be judicious with this. We've also built user controls really prominently into the platform, and so if people are finding there's a lot of noise on a particular bot, or if the signal is low, or if it's kind of spammy, then they have the ability to really easily take action on that, right? They can block the thread, delete the thread, they can mark your thread as spam. You don't want any of those things to happen. So use this power judiciously. But again, you have 24 hours to send anything that you want. And that 24-hour clock resets anytime that somebody taps a plugin again or sends another message to your bot. Then the +1 part. So outside of this 24-hour window, you also have the ability to send one message at any time in an attempt to re-engage an inactive user. It can be the next day, the next week, month, etc. It's at your discretion when you want to send that one additional message. One important exemption to this, there are some certain templates, such as the receipt template that we talked about a second ago, which is exempt from this. So say, for example, you buy a razor online from your favorite online razor selling company, and say once a month you get a razor sent to your house. You can send a receipt for that each month, regardless of whether or not they've messaged you in the past 24 hours. So receipts, for example, are exempt from this policy. And the second permission that's available is subscription messaging. We created the ability to do subscription messaging because there's a certain number of use cases that don't really fit very cleanly into that 24+1 policy. The first example here, news, right? Say you go to a news bot, you subscribe for breaking news, top news, and 24 hours later you can't get anything else. It's not really an ideal experience. So we've created this subscription messaging policy. The other 2 use cases I'll call out here are personal trackers. So say something related to finance or something related to fitness, and finally productivity. So something related to managing your calendar entries or sending reminders for things. All of these are eligible to get the subscription messaging permission, which then enables you to send messages again outside of that 24-hour window. As far as requesting this, what will happen is when you submit your bot for review, there's just a checkbox. Hey, I'd like this subscription message. This is what I'm going to do with it. And if you're approved, you're good to go. You can send out those subscription messages. Best practices. So we launched the Messenger platform in April at F8. Since then, we've seen a really wide variety of different use cases come in, and we've been able to learn some of the best practices that have helped some of those bots to be really successful on the platform. So we're going to wrap up our presentation on Messenger tonight by touching briefly on 2 of those best practices. First, it's really critical to set the right expectations. People should know right as they start interacting with your bot what it is that your bot does. A couple ways you can do this. One, give guidance right from the start. So we've spoken a couple times about the welcome screen. We really recommend using that greeting text to give just a really quick description of what it is that your bot does, so people know what to expect. And then, once they've opted into the bot, the second point, the first message or messages that they receive are really important in helping frame what it is that your bot does. So we recommend using that space to, again, help understand the capabilities of what your bot does. And finally, the persistent menu. This is the little hamburger menu that Linda mentioned. It's persistent throughout your bot experience. So down at the bottom, there's the 3 lines. What this should have is the top-level actions that you can start from anywhere within an experience. So we definitely recommend implementing this as it can help communicate to both returning users and new users what it is that your bot does. So set the right expectations. Our second recommendation is to limit free-form input. If people get the impression that they can ask anything in your bot, they probably will. And if they ask things that your bot isn't equipped to handle, that can lead to a poor experience. Maybe they delete the thread, maybe they don't come back. So we recommend limiting free-form input. First, you want to direct people to specific actions. Excuse me. And a great way to do this is with the quick replies and the buttons that Linda described earlier. So quick replies and buttons are a much easier way for your users to send you messages. They just have to tap something instead of typing it out. And you can also use those to constrain the sorts of things that they want to do, the sorts of things that you can do. And then finally, we recommend using only free-form text entry when absolutely necessary. So we walked through the use case of maybe a travel bot earlier. So you tap on book a flight. Okay, where are you traveling to, right? Tokyo, Sydney, wherever it is you want to go. But even then, being able to constrain the sort of answer they're going to give by asking a guided question like that is much better than what do you want to do? We've seen what do you want to do can turn into I'm interested in restaurant recommendations in Paris or something, which is maybe not what you're trying to do with your bot. So again, really tightly constrain the sorts of things that you expect that you want people to do. And that's it. Developer docs are available on the docs portion of our developer site under Messenger-Platform. You might also consider joining an online community on Facebook groups of Messenger developers, where you can learn from best practices of others and be able to share your own learnings and insights. Linda and I will be available afterwards. Please come up and introduce yourself. If you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer them for you. Thank you.